The hearing room in New York's federal court building is crowded when Virginia Hill Hauser, the fabulous sweetheart of the slain Bugsy Siegel, notorious underworld figure, answers her subpoena.
In the realm of mafia and brutal crimes, we often think of men as the ones involved. But did you know that there are some incredibly fierce and ruthless female mobsters too? Their stories are so astonishing that learning about them can leave us amazed. Let's take a closer look at 3 of these fearless women and uncover the intriguing tales of their audacious exploits. On top of our list is Virginia Hill, a fascinating woman who lived an extraordinary life in the world of crime. Born in 1916, she dreamed of a lavish lifestyle and wasn't afraid to chase after it. By the time she was in her teens, she had moved to Chicago and got involved in the booming gambling business. She soon caught the attention of the mafia and became a trusted courier for them, carrying money and messages between cities like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. Virginia caught the eye of a wealthy bookmaker and gambler, Joseph Epstein, who took her under his wing. Before long, she was knee-deep in the Chicago outfit, serving as a courier and even rumored to be a mistress to some mobsters. This lady had brains, wit, and a way with words, a combination that made her indispensable to the underworld. Despite facing dangerous situations and pressure from the authorities, Virginia never betrayed the mafia. She was fiercely loyal and lived by the code of silence known as omerta. Her ability to keep secrets earned her the trust of the mafia, but it also led to her facing scrutiny and investigations. Later in life, she settled down with an Australian skier named Hans Hauser and had a son, Peter. Yet her past caught up with her when she was subpoenaed to testify before the Kefauver hearings, earning her the title of Queen of the Gangsters' Malls. Determined to evade justice, she packed her bags and moved to Europe, where she lived with her son for the rest of her days. But the plot thickens. Tragically, her life ended when she was found dead in Austria, the victim of a suspicious overdose of sleeping pills. The next on our list is Maria Licciardi, a remarkable woman who defied all odds and rose through the ranks of the Camorra, one of Italy's most powerful criminal organizations. Born in 1951 in Naples, Italy, Maria was exposed to the world of crime from an early age. After her 2 brothers, Pietro and Vincenzo, and her husband were arrested, she was the first female Camorracita to become the boss of the Licciardi clan. The death of her brother in a gang war caused some disruption in the local underworld, but the clan was kept in stable condition by Maria. Maria's reign was marked by extreme violence as she eliminated her rivals through brutal assassinations, earning her the nickname La Madrina. Under her leadership, the Licciardi clan expanded its criminal activities, including drug trafficking, extortion, and racketeering. Maria's most notorious venture involved human trafficking and prostitution, smuggling young women from Eastern Europe into Italy to work as prostitutes. In 2001, Maria was arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder, drug trafficking, and other crimes. She was sentenced to life in prison, but her sentence was later reduced on appeal, and she was released in 2013. Despite her release, Maria's criminal career was far from over, and she was arrested again in 2021 while traveling under false identity. Maria Licciardi's story is both fascinating and cautionary. As a woman in a male-dominated world, she shattered stereotypes and demonstrated that gender was no barrier to power or ruthlessness. However, her criminal activities left a trail of death and suffering. Stephanie St. Clair, the legendary Madam Queen, was a true anomaly. Not only was she a black woman, but she was also a fearless boss in Harlem during the 1920s. She didn't back down from anyone and was ready to trade bullets with the most notorious gangsters of her time, like Dutch Schultz and Lucky Luciano. Despite her feminine appearance, this lady had more guts than most men. Stephanie's journey began on Christmas Eve in 1897 in the French West Indies. She moved to Harlem in the early 1910s, seeking a better life. Her early years were tough, facing sexual assault and discrimination, but she persevered and eventually became a maid for a wealthy family. With determination and resilience, she saved enough money to start her own business. In 1917, Stephanie took a bold step and invested $10,000 to open her policy bank, becoming a prominent figure in the numbers racket. Her policy bank thrived, making her incredibly wealthy and allowing her to lead a luxurious lifestyle among Harlem's elite. Stephanie was not just a shrewd businesswoman, she was also a caring member of the Harlem community. She actively advocated for voting rights, civil rights, and fair treatment of black individuals. She even set up a legal fund to help French-speaking immigrants. Dutch Schultz targeted Stephanie and other black policymakers during the policy wars to take over their operations, but Stephanie wasn't one to be intimidated. She fought back fearlessly, standing up to Schultz and organizing her allies to resist his encroachment. She even testified against corrupt cops in court. In her later years, Stephanie stayed out of the limelight and lived a quiet life away from the violence of the streets. She passed away peacefully in 1969, leaving a legacy of strength and courage. Papetta Maresca, whose real name was Assunta Maresca, was born on January 19, 1935, in Castellammare di Stabia, Campania, Italy. She grew up in a family deeply involved in crime and violence, with her father, Alberto Maresca, being a notorious smuggler. Additionally, her grandfather, Vincenzo Maresca, was a well-known camarista, infamous for his acts as an assassin. From her childhood and youth, Pupetta displayed an aggressive and determined character. Her first encounter with the law occurred when she was still in school after assaulting a classmate. However, the complaint against her was later withdrawn. Despite her tumultuous upbringing, Pupetta possessed beauty and charm, which garnered her fame in show business after winning a beauty contest at 18. Her life took a dramatic turn when she fell in love with Pascal Simonetti, also known as Pascal and Nora, a famous boss in the area. Pupetta's family did not approve of her relationship with Simonetti, but the couple defied their objections and married on April 27, 1955. Tragically, shortly after their wedding, Simonetti was assassinated by Ganetto Orlando, a hitman hired by rival camarista Antonio Esposito. Pupetta, who was 5 months pregnant at the time, was devastated by the loss of her husband. Filled with vengeance, Pupetta sought justice for her husband's murder. When she couldn't find it through official channels, she took matters into her own hands. On August 4, 1955, she confronted Antonio Esposito and shot him dead in broad daylight, avenging her husband's death. Pupetta was subsequently arrested and put on trial. She was eventually sentenced to 18 years in prison, later reduced to 13 years and 4 months on appeal. While in prison, Pupetta gave birth to her first child, Pascal. She was later pardoned in 1965, but continued to be involved in criminal activities. She had relationships with other Camorra bosses, such as Umberto Amaturo, and gave birth to twins. Her life remained entangled in the dangerous world of the mafia, and tragedy struck again when her son Pascal was abducted and murdered in 1974. Pupetta's life was the subject of various films, and she gained widespread notoriety for her actions and resilience. She died on December 29, 2021 at 86, leaving behind a legacy of being one of the few female figures in the male-dominated world of the Camorra. Crime knows no gender, it only demands a cruel heart, and these ladies possessed it in abundance. Their audacious exploits and fearless determination shook the underworld. Want to explore more intriguing stories? Subscribe to our channel and like this video.